commuters. Good morning, commuters. Welcome on board. My name is Swazi Lamini, your press ambassador on board. I will be taking you through the conditions of carriage, the do's and don'ts inside the train. Please note, it is prohibited to smoke inside the train. It is prohibited to eat. No drinking is allowed. No pets are allowed inside the train. No littering, no singing, no preaching, and no carrying of firearms and weapons. For your safety, note protection services and security guards will be on board at all times. PRASA prides itself in providing you with a clean train every day. And please note that our train has CCTV cameras. We also have, for emergency, we have an emergency lever button that you can pull in terms of emergency. That emergency lever button allows you to engage with the train driver in case of emergencies. Please note, you are not allowed to pull that lever if there is no emergency, because it will then cause delays unnecessarily on the train.
Basically move to the other side of the other side. Yeah, so that we have this area, some space here for the movement of our visitors. Please. You have 3 minutes. After that, take you out. We rotate.
My name is Yolanda, and I will be transferred to train number 9843. The train left the station at 8 o'clock and it arrived at Crossmoor station approximately the next 20 minutes. Because of where I will stop the line to some authorities. Please, passengers, when getting off the train, please mind platform gap. Just wait. Thank you, enjoy the ride.
I think she wants a picture.
we had to construct the rest of the line first in the next 2 to 5 seconds. As you can see, it's operation. If you touch one line, you can destroy for the rest of the line. So we constructed the line. Every went through ready to then connect them. So it took us
the guys from Archie's side, they asked if we could get someone to hold this easier in the,
so we
the person that's speaking.
the Crossmoor line now. In that concrete wall, there's a tie station that we also upgraded as part of the corridor. It was not vandalized, it was operational, but it was still using old technology, so we had then to upgrade it. So that it's a tie station.
It's a power station, Minister, but it's a substation, but a smaller version of a substation. We use it for switching. So what actually happens is between the two power supplies, in between, if the distance is long, we put what we call a tie-in station, just so that the distance is not too long between the two substations. For switching purposes, if you want to switch off a portion of the line for maintenance, it allows you to be able to do that. So it stays in between. So the name for it is tie station, but it's basically just a tie-in of two stations. It's a smaller version of a substation.
Thank you, Mr. Stella. Okay, as you can see, Minister, the support structures are brand new. The wires are brand new. What was here before the new infrastructure, it was old steel structures, which the line was built in 1971, so they were already old. When the vandalism and theft came, the line was already due for upgrades. So when we then started working here, we had an OHTE contract, which is for the overheads and the structures. We also had some works on the tracks. The springs were stolen, so that the rail was off track, so we needed to replace them. I think there's a section where you can actually see them nicely. And then we also had the aerial fiber project. As you can see, the structures is OHTE, then there's that fiber on the side. That's the aerial fiber. It goes all the way until the last substation. We'll explain further how does it then contribute to the whole network. We also, I think you asked about the security measures, and then my boss responded that we have reduced the copper content. I just want to make an example. In the bridge here, the fittings where you suspending the OHTE, previously it used to be copper crossspans. So we have then changed copper to aluminium crossspans. So nothing is copper here. Even the droppers as well, these tiny wires between the two big wires, they used to be copper as well. Now they are stainless steel. So we are also just putting more efforts in terms of reducing the copper content. So as we can see here as well, we had to replace the springs because they were stolen. In the whole line, we have replaced approximately 30,000 of the springs in different sections because I think as the line was non-operational, they had all the time to take them. So as we drive through, are we driving? As we ride through, we will see the line. I call this line a gorgeous line, Minister. I think you can witness. It's beautiful. The structures I knew, the wires I knew. It just looks beautiful. So also some of the projects that we had to execute, it's the substations as well, as Mr. Stemmer has explained. We had two substations in this corridor. The one is the tie station that we just passed, and then the last one is Crossmoor substation, which is at the end of the line. We'll explain further when we get there. And then the area fiber, the OHTE, and the payway works. On the payway works, we had different kinds of the works. It was the replacement of the springs, and also as you move further, there were fallen embankments that we needed to then correct and stabilize. And also at some section, there was the sand over rail. The rail was covered with sand. You could not see at all, which resulted in the rail rotting. So we also had to replace 214 meters of rail as well. So It was a combination of different works, even though it's the shortest line, it's 13 kilometers, but the works that were executed here, it was a lot, more especially the OHTE. I think the OHTE had the biggest scope because on the recovery, we usually focus more on the replacement of the wires, but here we were forced to then start from foundation, not only from foundation, because we also needed to first remove the old steel structures, which it was a challenge because it was boom structures which they were connected. There's a boom that connects the two structures, so it was a hassle to remove those. And then the digging part as well, the ground conditions were not as smooth as expected. Some sections will show you as we pass them, they had hard rock. Okay, some sections had hard rock, which made it very difficult to dig. We needed to get machinery to assist. And then other sections, they had a lot of water. When you dig, the water table is very close to you, which makes it either caused the repetition of the same task, which caused then the delays on the program. And then other sections, you could not have spaces to dig a new foundation. So what we did, I think I will show you on the bridge, what we did, we then seeked the independent advice from the engineers to then test the integrity of the old foundations, if they are still safe to use. And then they did the study, and then others were passed, others failed. So those that passed, we then reused them, but we did not then install the concrete mass poles, but it was the steel mass poles, which you will see as we travel along. And also another issue that we've had is the site access in terms of the service roads. As you can see here, there's no access. So for the contractors, then they have to gain access further down or further up for them to then bring materials and everything. I think it's very, very difficult. You'll see as we go up, there's a symmetry. At some point, they will then use that entrance so that they can access the site. And I think today is my opportunity to brag about this section. We are now riding over the N2, the national road. It always made me happy, but now that you are here, I have someone to brag to. So it is a very nice picture, even when you are on the road and the train is passing through, and also very motivating as well when you are going to site and you are stressed, and then you pass here, you see the new wires. It gives you that something to look forward to, because the goal is always clear. You want to run an electric train for the community, which is very, very interesting. So, yes, so we are now approaching the first train station in the corridor, which it was, as you have seen in the pictures, it was very, very badly vandalized. But during this recovery, it was then recovered, and it looks so beautiful, Minister. You fall in love with it. All the stations are beautiful. You can almost feel like it's a brand new line. It is, basically, because a lot of infrastructure has just been upgraded and rehabilitated. I don't know if...
What's the name of the station?
It's Heavenside. Yes, we're just approaching.
Where do you by profession?
I did electrical engineering.
You're in electrical engineering.
I hold a BTEC. Yes.
And how long have you worked for Prasa?
That's going to reveal my age. I joined 2007 for insect. It's a great community, and when I joined in, everything was already built. I think for the region, only that was in 20, but all the infrastructure. But for our in the rebuilding of the infrastructure, because this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I don't think you can build infrastructure twice in a lifetime.
Well, we're going to build more. So
Brand new, yes, new ones, yes, you can and
No,
expand.
we've got to build new ones.
Yes. So we just
And then we've got people who are battle hardened.
Yes, Minister.
The minister stay there as well.
So, Minister, I'm not sure if you would like us to stop here to show you, or we can just drive slow and yeah.
Okay, ticket sales.
Yes,
And this station is functional.
Yes,
it is
all the
functional,
stations
Minister.
are functional, Minister. Yes. So it's called Heaven Side. It's at the entrance of the corridor. In total, we have 5 stations. So this is the first one. And I must say the interaction between all the projects, it was running very smooth. It was hard in the beginning, the team forming, but then we got together and it was so smooth, so much that the colleagues were able to even solve each other's problems without having to escalate them because the mandate was clear, the goal was clear. It was a program, not an individual project. So it was very beautiful. We achieved what we did because of good teamwork. So,
So you still have to fix the fence.
Yes.
yes, we do. No, it's 30, the one that we are running right now or on due to the authorization in the absence of the signaling. But the normal section speed is 90 kilometers per hour, yes. But now we are running 30 because that's what we were allowed by the regulator when we opened the line.
It has to do with the signaling, Executive Mayor. In the absence of proper monitoring of the position of the train, so the regulator will then limit you in terms of the speed that you can go, just as a safety precaution. But as soon as the signaling system is restored, which is what the RM was explaining earlier, then we are able then to uplift the speed. But the infrastructure itself, when we build it to be able to run at the section speed, whatever section speed is. And in this case here, it's 90 kilometers per hour. And the trains also, they are tested at 120 kilometers per hour in Gauteng. So it is certified to run at higher speed. So when all these projects are completed, we're able to gradually increase the speed to the maximum speed. Yeah. The challenge, of course, with this region is that vegetation grows so quickly. So we have as and when projects to come and clear the section all the time. It's very unique here. Yeah. So, but what helps us works is that we're able to use local SMEs to be able. So it also creates some sort of the stations. On the transport into contract for 5 years, but also subcontracted local SMEs. Yeah. So it's a mix when it comes to this one. In terms of employment for those this section, so they don't have fixed. Yeah. So they don't. just create peace. So we are able to take this project in peace without a lot of the challenges that we know countrywide we are challenging.
Station. It's also got the ticket office, the ablutions, and it's a full functional station, and we are also stopping there. And then as we proceed, I think, I hope I'll be able to show you. I wanted to show you where we had to reuse the existing foundations because there was no space to dig up new foundations. So we'll see as we approach. It's not only the concrete mass poles, but you also see there's still mass poles there because there was no enough space for us to dig. In other sections, there was a lot of hard rock. And yes, the OHT project was on the critical path of this program because the end product was to run the train on electric. Previously, we are able to run using the diesel locomotives, but the goal for this line, it was for the electric trains. So this, as you can see, Minister, here we did not have space to dig new foundations. On the left-hand side, yes, because of this existing concrete for the embankment. So we then procured new steel structures, and then we had to reuse the existing foundation, which was tested by the professional engineers to just confirm if the integrity is still fine. Yeah. Yes, 2 meters down, yes. Also, the total of the concrete mass poles in this section is 417, if I'm not mistaken, which is a lot to be procured at the same time. So we had to then make the visits to the OEMs just to explain what we are working on, which actually helped us. I think also the recovery program has given that. Yes.
The team had to come, and then we met with them. The quantity was huge, and we needed them to produce within a very short space of time. But I must say that there was a lot of buy-in and cooperation from the businesses. Yeah. So they were able to. Yeah.
Yes, we were looking at the fencing for the entire region. The challenge with the fencing on this line, you will see along the line as we go towards Crossmoor, is the car accidents that we have on this highway, the M1, yes, Henderson Highway. And so every now and then, it's the car accidents. Yes, car accidents. We had one last early this week. The car landed on the tracks. Then we have to stop the service. We clear the accident, and only then we can proceed. I think the road is about 80, 100. I'm not sure, or even 60 in some areas. Oh, okay. But yeah, you know. Yeah. So we are looking at a different type of fence, and of course, There's been talks that there is, but I haven't witnessed, I haven't seen it, so maybe that's what is happening. We have been engaging with the city officials to see if maybe we can have road guards or something like that, so that we protect both. Because if the car lands, yes, mainly, you're done.
Okay, Minister, the building that you see now, it's what used to be the signaling equipment room. So we did not touch it because it was not part of this phase of the recovery. It's going to be part of the resignaling program that Mr. Luthuli spoke about earlier. This Crossmoor line is selected to be the test line for that resignaling program. So when they then work on the equipment and everything, they will also work on the equipment room and then upgrade everything. Once they are ready, then they will use this line to test. So this line is basically a brand new line. Everything starts here. So once everything passes, then it's going to be expanded to the rest of the region. Yes.
One of the other things, Minister, that we have not shared, which we were also monitoring and tracking, was the local procurement of material. So we're very careful. So a lot of the material that we use were produced and sourced locally. All the cables, in fact, all the overhead cables were manufactured here. So the companies that obviously manufacture in South Africa. In South Africa, yes. So they had to also bring in new people, employ new people in the factories to fast track the manufacturing of our equipment. So we were actually wanting to count that as well as part of jobs created, because there were people that came for 3 months, 6 months, yes, due to the orders that we've put. So we've done a lot of that on the substations as well. There's 1 or 2 components that we had to procure from outside of the country. But when you come to the Randfontein side, some of those things that we had to buy from outside, the local companies began to actually manufacture. So the traction transformers that we used on the Randfontein side, and we are proud because we had to push hard because we wanted also the local companies to gain experience. So the railway equipment is specialized and it's not something you buy always. So a lot of the companies don't even want to invest in the skills of producing traction transformers because you are buying this year and then you disappear for 20 years. There was one company that said, your transformer, I can build 3 ESCOM transformers at the same time that I'm building one for you. So the desire also and the appetite to do that was also not there. But it was important for them because this is the opportunity for them to actually learn how to do the we'll go into that as well. So there's about 4 traction units that we bought. I'll show you when we're on the other side that were produced locally. We've tested them. They work proper. They are functional. There are no issues. So that was another thing that we had to make sure that this money that we're spending on the recovery is spent locally as well.
Maybe just to add on that, Minister, this has also granted an opportunity for our internal skills to also be exposed because the service providers will submit the designs, but our own internal engineers will then participate and approve those designs. So the skill is not only on the project recovery side, also on the technical side as well, because they are now participating in the whole exercise. So that. Okay, so what we're going to do here, Minister... Sorry. Yes. There's something that my RM wants to show you when we are here. Yeah, I think we just step out for the
Yes, this is a Chancellor station. What I indicated earlier at the Meerbank is that this station is the biggest because of the
On now the passenger trips that we have achieved to date on this line, 78% of that is coming from this station. And what we wanted to show you and the Executive Mayor is this is the settlement that giving us the numbers that we're achieving on this station. Yeah. So we will then, when we proceed to Crossmoor, we'll also look at some of the challenges that the encroachment is bringing. We had some work that we did just on the other side of the curve, which was massive in terms of the repairs of the flood damages that we suffered during April 2022. But I will also hand over to our press colleagues, Ms. Felicity Lulu, who was the project manager for the station, just to give an overview of the work that was performed on the station.
Thank you, Ariam. I think if we can just move towards the shelters so that I can take you through. But on the main, Minister, for the stations, our approach was to reinstate or
Speaker.
I'm just checking the.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's fine. It was mainly to regain the trust of the commuter and to re-establish the safety of our stations, which had been compromised through the vandalism. So in the main, it was to reinstate the platforms, which were completely vandalized, reinstate the safety lines, and also re-establish our CASA branding. There was a lot of vandalism even on the buildings, the commuter shelters themselves, if you can see in those images, the ablutions for the commuters, which were all reinstated. The other main things that we focused on, the other main thing that we focused on, it's not working. It's not working. Let me just use my voice. The other thing that we worked on was the reinstatement of the meters, so both for electrical and water meters, which had been stolen and vandalized, to regain and bring back the security in terms of lighting on the platforms as well as within the buildings. Another thing that we looked at, so with the strict timelines that we had for this project, we had 6 months to accomplish all 5 stations within this corridor. We then looked at a design and build turnkey approach in how we execute the project, just to align with the budget constraints as well as the time constraints. So that also enabled us to value engineer the work as we went along the contract. And we are proud to say that the 5 stations on the Crossmoor line were completed within the 6-month allocated time, within a budget of 60 million for both the design and the build of the stations. We also looked at alternative building methods. If you saw on the West Cliff line, we incorporated container conversions, and that was also an effort to fast-track the provision of especially staff areas on the stations, which had we gone with the brick and mortar approach, it would involve municipal submissions and so forth. We've also looked at backup power storage through generators, which are available on each station, as well as backup water harvesting, as we are aware of the water as well as the load shedding constraints that we face. So yes, in a nutshell, that is the work that has gone into the stations, and we're proud of how the stations have come out and also the community involvement as we were reestablishing these stations and the ownership that has come from the community during the construction as well as beyond the construction. Thank you, ma'am.
We'll just show you how it works. I just wanted you to see the before on how it looked. Yes. Yes. Okay.
That's a Transnet line, but it's operational. We are also using it. Yes, we are running to Cateridge. The service ends at Cateridge. Yes, but it is operational. Transnet is still working on that line. They suffered massive damages. Massive. Yes. Yeah. And unfortunately, yes, that's.
The service was not running. I think everyone had lost hope that the service will come back, so they were starting to even build on top. There was actually a car mechanic company here. The cars were on the track and everything. So this is the. Yes. So on the other side, there's illegal dumping, which it's better now. You can see they've been banning it. They ban every now and again. But when we started to work on this line, it was bad. You couldn't even see the track. It was on Yes. So this is where we then worked to stabilize the embankment. We had to remove everything, the ballast, the sleepers, the track itself. And it was very challenging in terms of the access. If you can see on the pictures, there's a house, or there are houses directly where the gabions are. So it was very challenging, but I can say that the engagements with the community as well, they were handled so well, because the relationship now between the community and the service providers, it improved, and they were able to work together. They were allowed access as and when they requested it. But in the beginning, it was very, very difficult, because also people were not used to having any activities happening here, which, as you can see, people are just walking as if it's their section.
Actually, I think it's quite a huge problem with the encroachments. We see it in Western Cape, we see it here, even in Gauteng. And there needs to be, I think, a very close collaboration between local government, provincial and entities to ensure that we get this right. Now, I know. It's one of our biggest problems. And then I think what's resultant, apart from the structures, is the constant dumping, where we get it on. You can clean every 2 weeks and it looks like this. Yeah, I think that's the biggest problem.
We are working with the municipality. We have brought some officials to site just to look at the possible solutions that can be brought in. Maybe skips, but then you have to put the skips where you can be able to collect them. So that is what we are looking at, because there is no, when you look at the community, there is no road access for refuse collection. Yeah, we definitely have to look at that. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But if I know, maybe it's a weekly service. Although you're in a later age, you've been so useful for this public.
Yeah.
We have them in the it's just so that way. We
Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And then we take where the man can come, take it to one of the stations where the man will connect. I think it's something that we will table. Yeah. We are now approaching the Crossmoor station, Minister. This is the home station, end of the line station. Yes, this is where the service starts and ends. And once we step off, we're going to also hand over back to Felicity so that she can just take us through the whole program of the station's rehabilitation. No. After that, we'll go up the stairs so that she can also show us the ticket rooms and the train operations room as well. Yes. And then we'll then go to the substation, which will be the end of the program. Yes. And here, Minister, we also built all the platforms in terms of OHTE so the train can go to either of the because the infrastructure is available. So whenever we need to use the other platform, we are ready to do that. Yeah. Yes, understand. So there's no phase 2. I'm bragging.
Testing.
She'll take it from you.
Press the button. No, I haven't.
Test, I don't.
Let's go, Friday. Oh.
Thank you, ma'am. If we can just take you through a walk through the station and then going back up to our ticket office.
So, as I mentioned on the previously, that our biggest target when it came to the stations was to just reinstate the reliability of our stations, the safety of our stations. And now that we have done that, we are then now looking at how do we start implementing our secondary mandate. As we go up the steps, we'll just show you some properties or some buildings that we have earmarked for commercial development that will then enable us to then bring revenue into the business as our secondary mandate. So just as we go up the station, I'll talk more when we get to that building. But as we just walk, it's just to show you the efforts and the thought process behind the implementation of the rehabilitation of the stations. If you saw in the images, our platforms were completely overgrown with vegetation. So the work actually involved stripping the platforms right down, re-establishing the base material, resurfacing, reinstating our commuter shelters, lighting, and so forth, and also establishing access control, because we find that a lot of revenue is lost through non-established access controls. So as we walk, we've just put a bit of the pictures again, just to reiterate the amount of work. If you just see here, I think we didn't walk into the ablutions, but if you just see here where we moved from the ablutions and the reinstatement of those. Another item I haven't really spoken much about was the reinstatement of the fencing work as well, where the fence at the stations was completely vandalized, stripped, taken, and that the work to reinstate and rehabilitate that as well. So this just gives an idea. As Gugu mentioned, even just the scoping process was very difficult for us getting access into the stations to see the extent of the work that would need to be done and undertaken.
And you pass through all of these stations?
Yes,
And we are now-
yes.
what side is
So
this one?
we are now at Crossmoor. Oh yes, Crossmoor, because we are here, we didn't include the pictures, yes. So we started off at Havenside. This was the first station on Havenside, yes. We then moved to Bayview. There's Bayview up there. We have Chats Glen as well as the Westcliff. Westcliff is a station where we did not have existing buildings on the station, and as part of us working within the time constraints, we then looked at an alternative building method of using the container conversion to allow for security areas for our staff. So that is the approach we use there. We also then introduced the water storage, which can then also be adapted further for water harvesting as a means of moving towards managing our utilities as well as using green. Then, yeah, I think we are covered on the stations. This was just to give you an explicit view and image. Another thing that we are proud with how we approach the Crossmoor line is the work that was done on the bridges in terms of creating brand awareness. So if you're driving just on the highway, you can physically see each PRASA station as you're driving, and they almost become a landmark along the line just to reinstate that trust and that brand of PRASA on our corridors. But Minister, I'd like to just take you up so that we can see some of the work internally in our ticket office and the provisions we've made for our staff as they serve the community.
So we're going up those stairs?
Yes, so we can go up the stairs. Before I talk more on the commercial building, which we'll get to on the bridge, I believe Gugu would just like to show you some of the OHTE that has much better views from the top of the bridge.
Thank you, Felicity. I think I am a cosmetics person. I like things that look nice. If you look at the roof of the shelters, you can also see the OHTE. Those structures are brand new. They were part of this recovery, so the work needed sorry, it's too close. Sorry. So they needed to, because the stations was ahead of the OHTE, so it was beautiful to witness the process of lifting the old structures and then install the new one. So when you are at the top here, you can see the overall oversight of the station, which you can tell it looks beautiful, it looks new. It was just a very beautiful interaction between all the projects that we executed here. I think we can move on.
Continue this way? Yes, to the ticket office. But as we walk past, this is an eyesore. Yes, this is the building we have then determined should be demolished. The structural integrity of it is in question. We've then seen it as an opportunity to then approach the market for a development partnership to then bring commercial revenue to the station. I think it was important for us first to re-establish the trust, bring the numbers back to the station, and then that can be used as a selling point to developers for the opportunities that are available for them within our station precinct. Supermarket, student accommodation, the possibilities are endless, but we are putting it out in the market. Sorry?
How big is the stand?
The stand, it's about 400 square meters, if I'm not mistaken. So it's not big, but the opportunity to go up is there. But
So they will invest
We will then take a...
That building at the back, is that yours? Or that's a private building?
That is ours.
Yeah.
That's the one with the cross?
With the cross.
No,
That's a private.
Oh,
but
okay,
it's
the
just
space at the back.
Just the space, yeah.
So it will fill up, the development will be the entire area. So normally what we do with a PSP, we take a land rental, they invest, we give them a 30-year lease agreement, development lease agreement, but then through the intersite subsidiary, if it makes commercial sense in terms of return on investment, we will co-invest and then share on the top structure income as well, so it increase that. So that's the thinking around that.
Before we leave the station, if we can just take you inside. Do the thing.
Show you the internal works that have been done as well on the on the ticket office.
So this is the ticket office?
Yes, this is the ticket office. On this project, we also looked at not just the ticket office, but as well as our train drivers' rooms, which are at the back of this building.
This is the same building, eh?
Yes. So we are standing in the exact same point. Can they not open for us?
You want to open?
Yes, we would like to take you inside.
Oh, it's not operating yet.
It is operational.
For security.
There's a prison. How are you?
So we have boardroom spaces, we have open plan office areas, ablutions. Yes, we are hoping to could even develop a conference room in there. Correct. So just the ablutions for the staff. These would not be accessed by the commuters.
Yeah.
We have those on the platforms, but that provision is here for the staff. I don't know if customer service will allow us to go through. Yes. Okay. So these are, so these are the sales ticket offices. Yes. It's not working this thing. So the safety here is also quite an important aspect for our staff. The bulletproof glass, as well as safety for access into the ceilings. Yes, correct. And even our security control, there's certain access is only given to the ticket sales personnel, who would then be the only people allowed beyond the door that we just went into. I think it's also important to note that our staff is just as important as our commuters, as they spend quite a lot of hours in here servicing the commuters.
So it must be a decent space.
Correct.
No, it's very nice.
I think we can... We just need someone to air conditioning, everything. The importance of comfort and usability, and the economics as well is crucial in how we develop our stations. I don't know if we can also just look at the kitchens. I'm showing you everything now. But this is the one service area for staff. We've just reinstated the service, so some of the fittings are still coming in. But this is essentially... Yeah. The other important thing was to secure, because the lessons learned from the previous vandalism, to secure the perimeter. Even though we do already have the bulletproof, we have the fencing, We have roller shutter doors. Correct. So it allows for when the station is shut down in the evenings, the roller shutter doors come down, and the area has got that additional safety and security of the buildings.
Yeah, I think we've actually learned a lot of lessons from what happened during that period, and how do we improve, how do we try and stop vandalism.
I mean, there could be a pandemic again.
Yeah.
It could happen again. Or something else.
Something else, and then, we can't run a service and then we can't be exposed like that.
Correct, correct. But I think what was mentioned earlier about just getting the community buy-in, even from the maintenance point of view, the cleaning of the stations through the co-ops plays quite a vital role. You see that the community then takes ownership of the stations, and the pride is there, which we believe also adds a bit to the security aspect and the safety of the infrastructure.
I think also with the secondary mandate, where we want to bring commercial housing, everything closer to the stations, we also see that when it's built up, the chances of it being vandalized is also less in terms of, when there's formal housing and formal commercial services.
And also, people want the service. So once the service is operating, they will help protect it.
No, absolutely. We see that.
That's true. Thank you, ma'am. That is it from the station side. I believe we can then start moving to the substation.
So I joined late because stuck on M2 is a terrible accident. Apparently those buckets that transport kids to school.
Oh my God.
I think the wheel went off. The rest I don't know. Yeah, it's terrible.
But I believe there's eight children.
Yeah, so eight.
Oh my God.
Was traveling was on the Mandeni, somewhere there, Mandeni and Dogon.
Traveling to school?
Yes. On the N2. Yes.
That's so sad.
Sure.
Okay, we're going to the substation.
Substation.
I'm going to just go use your little go.
Sure.
Toilet paper, yes. I think we can move out. Yes, so there is toilet paper. It's over. Hambile? Oh, okay, so I'll direct. They're going to get ready there. Okay.
We are just going to substation now.
Okay.
I don't need this anymore. Unplug it. Ati. tala chayile. Akuna kuti hulu inana address maholo azimnaki. Down.
Yeah, you were.
washing. Archie, you must not even mention the drain. You know the drain is draining. Hey.
So they said you can't leave your camera there.
So why didn't you get somewhere get any work? Because this conference is there. Come on your feet.
I think let's move on this side. Let me ask Essie as well.
Okay. Okay. Minister, Executive Mayor, Chairperson of the Transport Portfolio Committee, we are at the Crossmoor substation. This substation was recovered as part of this program, and it is operational and supporting this line. I will then hand over to the program manager, and he will then introduce his team, the entire team that was involved, so that you can meet each project manager, and they can then tell you what was their contribution, which project they managed, and all of that. Okay, thank you. Over to you, colleagues.
Thank you, Mphathi. Welcome once again. This is the Crossmoor substation. But before we actually take you through everything and do everything that we had planned, would like to give you the safety talk or safety briefing before you can then know how to handle yourself once you enter the substation. It is a high voltage substation and it is live. It is currently feeding the line. So it is very important for us to tell you what to do, what not to do. So I'm going to hand over to Mr. Mbisi, our electrical regional engineer. He is now the asset owner. We have handed over the asset to him. So over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Good day, Honorable Minister, Mayor, and all protocol observed. In terms of the safety talk, I'll be very brief. This is a 88,000 volt substation in terms of the supply from Eskom. We then rectify to 3,000 volts direct current. It is live. So what is critical as we are here is to ensure that we, as practical as possible, we don't touch any equipment. We keep and observe about a meter distant from any equipment for our safety. We ensure that we have the safety boots on for our own safety, because if there's any conductivity happening, then they assist us in preventing any risk that may arise from that. We will be around also reminding as we are entering the substation in terms of what I've just said. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mbisi.
Colleagues, we'll ask the principals only to enter and the media. All of us will stand and watch here. Thank you.
The principals and the recovery team, thank you. Please, guys. It's for the whole meeting. Please, you can't meet here.
I guess let's stop here, colleagues. Let's stop here.
Nobody can see everything from here. Yeah. There's nothing behind, just this two. That's all we can see from here.
We won't be able to see when we explain here. Yeah, there is another but obviously not like to see. But it's safe here. We are monitoring down.
Everything that you have seen already.
are working on all the other lines. I would love to introduce them to you, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, we'll do it afterwards.
Afterwards.
Yeah, I'll come and shake hands with everybody.
Okay, no problem. Thank you, Minister. So here on this wall is just the pictorials of everything that we have seen on the line. I'm just going to briefly go through them because maybe some we have missed. So this is the condition of the conditions that was on the work. It was very, very dense. As you can see, it was difficult to even get to the Masco. But we were a determined team. We did what we needed to do, and we managed to get the scopes. And then here, this is just the condition of how the railway was dislocated to its original position because of the depth of the springs. So we needed to cut the vegetation, reposition it, and then clip smart the springs. And here is just the conditions that the OHTE project was working under. There were sections where there was a very, very hard rock. It was difficult to dig. And then other sections, there was a lot of water. I think it's because of the floodings that we've been getting in the region, which has raised the waterbed. So it was very difficult to then dig the foundations there. But the service providers, then they would drain the water and secure actually the holes until they finish the works. And then this is the condition of the structures. They were already badly corroded, so theft or no theft, they were still due to be replaced, which we then replaced with the concrete structures. But on other sections, as I've explained, Minister, we could not then get either, there was a very hard rock we could not dig, or the existing infrastructure could not give us a space to dig a new foundation, so we had to then install the steel structures using the existing foundations, which were tested and they were approved for the integrity. And then here, this is just a picture that shows how the OHTE then interacts with the aerial fiber. I think it's just below the OHTE to maintain the safe clearance. And then as you can see there, I have this picture here. It's there. It's entering the substation. I think my project manager will explain further when she takes us through the substation on how does it then benefit the substation. And then here it's also the pairway works that we had to do. There are sections where the sand was on top of the tracks. Actually, at least here you can still see, but other places you could not see the track at all. So we had to do the hand screening, and then on some sections the rail was rotted already, so we had to replace 214 meters of the rail in the section. And here it's the embankment that we needed to stabilize in the Bottle Brush informal settlement. It was a result of the 2022 floods, but then the works happened here, and this just indicates how difficult it was to then access the working area, but we finalized and finished the project there. And then here, this is where we are in the substation. Like I said, our project manager will take us through the recovery of the substation, but we did not experience theft in the inside of the substation. It was on the outside, which is our high voltage yard. But also theft was not the only challenge. The whole place was then exposed to the excessive water, so the drainage was a problem as well, which then it formed part of the recovery scope to then work on the drainage. So this just shows how it looked like in progress, and this is where we are. And the drainage issues, they actually also affected the indoor part of the substation. On the trenches, it was filled with water, but then during the recovery, everything was fixed. So I'm going to hand over to the substation's project manager, who is one of our young team. She's an electrical engineer by profession, but she is also responsible for the substation's recovery program in the region.
Good morning, everyone. To our minister and her team, welcome to Crossmoor substation. My name is Ononkosi Zungu, and I am the project manager for the substations here in KZN. Before we start, I would like us to proceed to the other side of the substation so that you can clearly see the works that have been done. Like this? Okay. Colleagues, so this is our beautiful Crossmoor traction substation that has been successfully refurbished after the poor drainage system that we had that would usually flood the outdoor yard and also flood the cable trenches inside the substation. Also, in addition to that, the major challenge we had with this substation was the theft and vandalism on the outdoor equipment. So, colleagues, on the scope of works for this project, the contractor had to design and construct an upgraded drainage system in order to resolve the flooding. And I think we all came on the right day, as we can all witness. There is no flooding in the substation, especially after the rainy days we had on Monday and Tuesday. As you can see, the substation is dry. Even if you get inside the substation, if you check the trenches where the cables are running, it is absolutely dry. So it gives me so much pleasure to announce that the design worked, the drainage is efficient. Secondly to that, the contractor, so the larger scope on this project was that the contractor had to replace all of the outdoor equipment as it was badly vandalized and nothing was working at all. So whilst we upgraded our equipment, we also took into consideration to upgrade our transformer power capacity. So before, we had a 4.5 MVA transformer, which was later now upgraded to a 6 MVA transformer to accommodate the power consumptions for the blue trains. In addition to that, we also catered for environmental safety. So it may happen in the future that a transformer starts leaking. So we decided to build a band wall, to construct a band wall around the transformer that is covered with a green mesh grid. So how this band wall would help us is that it would prevent the oil from contaminating the soil underneath. And then in addition to that, the beautiful part of this band wall is that it has a valve underneath installed that would help us to drain water. Should we have water inside our band wall, we would be able to safely discard the water into the nearest manhole. But then again, if we have oil contaminants into the water, we would first have to drain out the water. We would have to filter it out, the oil from the water, before discarding the water into the nearest manhole. Okay, colleagues, I'm sure most of you know that what invited theft and vandalism into substations was mostly copper content. So before, we would have copper cables running from the traction transformer going inside the building. But now we have eliminated those copper cables. We now have aluminium bus bars, which are painted in red
for high voltage. So in addition to that, we also have our lights that give us very bright lighting at night. We have replaced our fluorescent lights with LED lights as they give us a good quality of light at night. So that would be it on the outdoor equipment. We can go inside.
I think just to add, Minister, it's important for us to also mention that on this substation specifically, the ESCOM POD was not vandalized, which then assisted us in recovering the substation quicker. And also to mention that the tie station that we told you about on the other side of the line, it helped us that it was still up and running, so we managed to start running the trains while the substation was under construction, so we did not have a downtime. Then when the substation was live and running, then we went and worked on the other substation, so it was just a beautiful setup. Thank you.
Usually we get them from either China or Brazil.
So this was locally manufactured?
No, not this particular one. This one is from China, but I was just showing you that the ones that we installed in Gauteng, we've installed 4 of them that were manufactured in Germany. So it was an important milestone for the track. Historically,
Bongs, take a picture. I'm posing here. Huh? Take. Hansi. Eh? No, we'll close this. Yeah, but they are closing it. So, the mic is 5 minutes.
Minister?
Okay. Why don't we ask the mayor to welcome us?
Yes, they just wanted to have the plaza branding for TV, then they will take it again. Mayor?
Just stand behind the minister. Why don't you welcome us to this briefing and tell us how important the work we're doing is for your city, and then I'll just make a few remarks.
Sure. Colleagues,
Wait, let's give
So raise the...
colleagues, Minister, acting CEO, the management from PRASA, colleagues from as well, okay, and colleagues from other entities of government, and good morning, good day, and we wish to welcome the Minister to this site. It's her site because she's responsible for transport, but we host it as the city. We have been taken through the recovery program from the last time these buildings or institutions were vandalized and some affected by floods. We are satisfied with the level of recovery that we are seeing, and that PRASA has started reinstating trains, albeit not at full capacity yet, but we are getting there as we are able to fix some of the problems that were caused by other floods or vandalism. Minister, we are excited that we have our people being transported cheaply. You saw the ticket is 750 rand when they could be paying 750, where they could be paying a lot more commuting from these areas to Durban or elsewhere by taxi. And so they're able to save, they're able to buy tickets, and never to pay cash every day. We're very excited, and the minister is your the press conference. I now hand over to you to brief the colleagues and the public about what you have said. Thank you so much, Minister.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sure.
Awesome. Okay. Good morning to everybody, and allow me to acknowledge our mayor. Mayor, you and I have worked together in other capacities. It's very nice to be with you for the first time in this capacity in your city. Thank you very much for joining us today. Let me acknowledge our MMC for transport in the city of eThekwini. Very nice.
Portfolio committee in Parliament.
Okay. Thank you. The chairperson of the portfolio committee in the provincial legislature. That's even more important because you are the people that hold us accountable here in KwaZulu-Natal. Colleagues, I think that it's important I start this morning by expressing my very sincere condolences to those families who have lost 7 children and the driver of the Scholar Transport vehicle that had a crash with a truck in Mandeni in KZN early this morning. I would normally be with MEC Duma, and he has gone there to the scene of that terrible accident, and I think our thoughts and prayers are with the families of those who have lost their loved ones this morning. Today's visit is really to showcase to all of you the important work that PRASA is doing here in the city of eThekwini. In this city, there are 8 lines that transport passengers into the metro. And so far, we have recovered 6 of those lines, and we have recovered 70 of our 102 stations. What we wanted to show you this morning is that this recovery is not an easy task. It requires replacing rails. It requires dealing with the flood damage of 2022. It requires dealing with the overhead electricity power lines that power the electric trains that we were traveling on. And of course, what you are seeing here is that we've even had to rebuild a whole traction substation so that there is adequate power on this line. All the stations were severely vandalized. And I think that you've had an opportunity to see the extensive work that we've done on the 5 stations that are on this particular line. It includes the ticket sales, the ablution facilities, the weather protection, and of course things like just supplying electricity, water, and so on. So it hasn't been a simple issue. Altogether, in the city of eThekwini, we have spent 800 million rand so far on this work. And our next, after we have completed this line, which you've heard is now going to be running right through to Durban from early next year, our next big project is going to be the recovery of the South Coast line. And that line is already out to tender, and we hope to start the work in 2026 on that line, because clearly that becomes a very important next step. Now, I want to share with you the magic number. What is it that we are trying to do in the PRASA system as a whole? We are trying in the PRASA system to get back to 600 million passenger trips per year. Here in the city of eThekwini, the contribution of passenger trips should be 126 million per year. At the moment, we are running 13 million, and nationwide, at the end of this financial year, we think we will be running 40 million passenger trips. But the goal for 2030, 2029, the end of this term, is 600 million. So you can see we've got a mountain to climb. What is going to take us up that mountain is signaling, automatic signaling. This line that we've been traveling on today is the pioneer line for the new modern signaling technology. That contract has already been awarded for signaling, and we are in the design phase. What does signaling do? Signaling allows us to dramatically increase the number of trains that we are running. At the moment, because we have to get what we call manual authorization, every train that is running, there has to be direct contact with the driver. You can go now, the line is clear, and we can only run one train on a line. When it gets to the end of the line, it goes back, because we don't want an accident. But once you have signaling, automatic signaling, the train is controlled electronically from a central control center, and we can then run the trains at 3 or 5 minute intervals during peak time. And then we can ramp up the numbers. What the signaling will also allow us to do is to open up the second line, and we can run the trains in both directions at the same time without any fear that we can have collisions. So that is how, once we've recovered the lines and we've recovered the electrical supply and the power supply, signaling is going to allow us to ramp up the numbers. This station now has increased capacity so that we are able to run the trains at these very short intervals, because there's enough power for all of the trains that will be running. Now, revamping this system has also allowed us to put in new ways of ensuring that we get community buy-in. 50 of the 70 stations that we have recovered are now being cleaned and managed by community cooperatives. So what does that mean? It means communities have an interest in making sure that the station is clean, in making sure that the station is safe, and in making sure that nobody vandalizes that station, because their livelihoods and their jobs depend on it. You would have also seen, as we move up and down the line, that there are security guards. In due course, once we have the electronic systems that I was talking about, we will also have electronic surveillance on the line. So if anybody is tampering with the lines, then that message will be going through to the central control system. I can share with you, because I have visited the war room that is being managed by the Nat Joint's formation to deal with vandalism and theft in public infrastructure. And what I can tell you is that PRASA is the best performing out of PRASA, Eskom, and Transnet in terms of safety. And the PRASA approach to safety has reduced incidents of vandalism nationwide by 75%. So I think we've got to give the PRASA management a very big round of applause. Now, you can see, ladies and gentlemen, there's these special people who are wearing blue behind us, Mayor. And you will see that each of these colleagues has got a little badge that says War Room. These are the colleagues that are leading the recovery here in KZN of the Prasa line. You know, these young people, they are engineers, they are professionals from different areas, and they were sharing with me the exciting journey they have been on in this recovery program. For a young engineer working on an established system, you might never get a chance to do a big infrastructure project. But these young engineers have actually had to re-engineer this line. Now, it is our intention to make rail the backbone of our transport system, whether it is for passengers or for freight. So if you have a team of colleagues who have done an infrastructure build, what it means is we've got these battle-tested professionals who will be able to help us with the long-term vision of rail as the backbone of our public transport system. In our department, we are busy developing the National Rail Master Plan. That master plan is the blueprint. It's getting hot in there. That master plan is the blueprint for all the rail that we would want to develop in our country for the next 25 to 30 years. And I think we can be very excited and inspired that as we have that vision, standing behind me are the people who can do it. So I really want you to give this team a very warm round of applause. I think they've done a really, really amazing work. And they said to me, what we learned in this project was we had to solve our own problems. We worked as a team, and we solved our own problems, and we solved each other's problems. That is the mark of professionalism. You don't just work according to instruction, but when you encounter difficulty, you put your heads together and you problem solve. That's what we need if we're going to fix our country and we're going to get our country to work properly. Mayor, let me conclude by saying that we have much more work that we need to do. As you have seen, colleagues, there is encroachment from communities onto the rail reserve. It obviously poses enormous dangers for the community. If a child runs onto the rail line, it could be a tragedy in the making. What we've also seen is that there's a problem with refuse removal, and our line is becoming the local dump site. I want today, Mayor, you know, I'm the kind of person who there's never a free lunch, you know. So today I want to say to you, can we agree that we're going to solve this dumping problem? We are going to look, because you can see with that Chats Glen community, it's very difficult to get a refuse truck into that community because it's on the sides of the mountains and there aren't really formal roads. So we're going to look from our side, this clever team behind me. Where's the civil engineers here? Yes, Sizwe, come here. I'm giving you a problem, right? What we want is we want to use a trolley to go and collect that refuse. The request I'm making to the mayor is that you will organize a refuse collection service at the nearest station to which you can get a refuse removal truck. Because you can't have piles and piles of rubbish on a train line. You can't. So this is what I need, says where we've got to find some mechanism where the community can deposit their refuse in an orderly fashion. We can pick it up on a trolley, and then we'll give it to the mayor as a weekly present. So if you can just think about how we do that, I think it's something that could really help us. What I can bring to the party, because I used to be the Minister of Environment, I know all about recycling. And recycling will reduce the amount of waste that goes to landfill. So I'll bring the recyclers, you bring the transport mechanism, Mayor will take it away at the end. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks so much, Minister.
Can you
just
Q&A?
We will take that offline, Minister, in terms of the Q&As.
Okay.
I think you can just get the acting CEO of Press just to close to us.
Thank you, colleagues. Minister, Mayor, and the Chairman of the Portfolio Committee here in KZN, we need to thank you for your support, coming out here today, spending time with us to see what the TDA and KZN has actually accomplished, especially on this line. I must say, where I'm standing here, I am extremely proud to be part of the team that we call Crossmoor. So we just want to thank you, and we want to thank you, Minister, for your support throughout since you have come into office. We really feel you, and we know we're working well together. And Mayor, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
So much. That brings us to the end of the program.
I'm just going to greet these young people, and then I'll do Q&As.
Okay.
Thank you. Felicity, thank you.